So I am here with Luke Smith, who is the head assistant coach at Eastern Michigan University. Eastern Michigan this past year had 7 wrestlers that were All-MAC, had a guy that lost in the blood rounds at the NCAA tournament, 2 national qualifiers. But biggest thing to take away is they finished top in the nation in GPA for team average with a 3.82, beat out a lot of Ivy League schools. So that's got to be a big thing for you guys, wouldn't you say, Luke?
Yeah, that was one of our goals of the year was to compete. We didn't know if it would happen this year because the year before we were 30th and we've always been in the top 30. But our goal was to start competing to be one of those top teams and just do that every year. But so the guys really embraced that challenge and did a great job this year. And it's nice saying that you beat up Harvard in something, in something academically.
Yeah, obviously that's always a good thing to take away there. So is this something that you guys have kind of brought around as a recent, or was this a push that you've tried to make recently, or is this kind of something you instilled throughout, your time at coaching there at Eastern, as well as Coach Bolliard just taking over here a couple of years ago as the head coach?
It's been a process. I think even kind of started when Coach Del Porto was here. He kind of started, and then we kind of, just like anything, you keep looking for ways to improve and keep tweaking it. And then we kept doing that, and I think it's just continually gotten better. Finding the right types, recruiting the right types of kids is huge. I think we did a good job of targeting good students and finding the right types of kids. I think that's been a big part of it. And we have a great academic support system at Eastern Michigan, too, so I think that plays a huge role as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember when we wrestled at Central, we had some pretty good support there, which I know saved me a couple times throughout my time.
Yeah.
But so getting into that a little bit more, I mean, obviously the academics is huge there, but Eastern's really kind of turned a corner athletically as well here over the past couple of years.
Yeah, we have. Like I said, it's kind of been a process, but I think we've done a good job finding wrestlers who are kind of maybe a little bit under the radar, maybe didn't do what they should have done in high school, and taking those guys and developing them and investing a lot of one-on-one attention and putting the time and effort in, because we don't have the luxury of maybe a Big Ten school to get the top recruits in the country year after year. So we have to find the guys that we feel like we can develop and turn into those guys, kind of the late bloomers.
It's got to be hard going up and recruiting against the Big Ten schools in Michigan, like Michigan and Michigan State. So I can understand trying to go, under the radar there. Now, do you feel that you're kind of building a little bit more rapport with the wrestlers in Michigan now?
Yeah, I do. I feel like just because we've been here, we wrestled at, all 3 of us have wrestled at Central Michigan, and now at Eastern. Coach Boyer has been running a high school club from his days when he was at CMU to now. He's ran a really successful club, and I think that's helped connect with a lot of wrestlers in the area. And then it's them seeing guys who maybe were a little bit overlooked by some other schools, seeing those guys have success, shows people that they can have success at Eastern Michigan just as well as they could have success, at anywhere else. They can accomplish their goals here as well.
Yeah, no, I completely get where that's come from. It's a good way to look at it as far as when a recruit looks at a school, they obviously should be able to realize where a great, fit could be one reason for another. So kind of going into that, what's really the philosophy there for you guys as far as the coaching staff goes at Eastern, from the athletics to the academics to expectations and everything else in between that you have for your guys and incoming freshmen?
Well, for us, it is, I really like what Coach Boyer always says to the guys. So you look at the most successful people. If you're really trying to be successful, you're not just targeting it in one area. You're not just trying to be good at wrestling. You're not just trying to be good in academics. You're trying to be successful in everything you do. We go out and we look find the best wrestlers we can, and then we get their grades, and we like to look at the GPA because I think that's a good indicator of your work ethic, because that's, years of hard work put into it. That's a good reflection of your work ethic. And then we do our homework, try to get all the information we can to see what type of person they are. to see if we feel like they would be a good fit for our program. And then once we hit those guys, we try to give them the best deal we can. The other great thing is in Division I wrestling, a fully funded team is 9.9 scholarships, and the average college team has about 30 or so guys on the team. So if a guy's got over a 3.5 GPA or a 26 ACT or is in like the top 10% of their class, you can combine the athletic and academic money. So we try to make it, as affordable as we can. And I think that's a huge thing where we're finding guys and they're good students and we're putting together a really good deal for them so they can get their education, which in the end is the most important thing, because as much as we all would have liked to, you can't wrestle your entire life, as Coach Bell used to say. So
yeah.
Eventually you got to get out into the real world and you got to get a job. So we try to give them a really affordable education and to show that we're going to develop their kid not just as an athlete, but as a person. So when they leave our program, they're ready to be successful when they get out into the real world.
And that was something I definitely want to jump into, is not only developing, these student athletes as wrestlers, but help developing them for setting themselves up to be businessmen, husbands, fathers, and just kind of help creating an all-around person coming out of college. So, I mean, using the quote that you pulled from Coach Bolliard right there a little bit earlier, obviously that's something that's really high for you guys.
Yeah, yes it is. And biggest adjustment is your first year. You don't have your parents, there to wake you up and kick you in the butt and send you to school. So we kind of keep our thumb on the guys really early, and we do things like we do daily class checks. Some guys take night classes. I started a Snapchat account called Class Check, and they have to Snapchat me a picture of them in class, or else we're going to have some positive reminders the next day after practice. Just doing those types of things, just trying to develop the right habits early, and then eventually once we get their progress reports in that they're doing well, then we kind of let go of their hand, and until if their grades are slipping again, we're right back all over them. And, keep our thumb on them again. So I think we've done a good job of targeting the right types of kids. And even the ones that maybe were a little bit of an academic risk, we're surrounding them with the right types of kids so they're picking up good habits off those guys.
Awesome. That the Snapchat idea, that's the first thing I've ever heard, Snapchat being used that way. That's pretty creative. How'd you come up with that?
Yeah. Well, when I used to class check, I couldn't see if the guys were in class or not, and there was even some rooms that didn't have windows. So I started told them to send me a picture, and then I was like, well, after a while I was just kind of thinking how my mind would have worked how I would have gotten out of that. I would have probably maybe taken the pictures ahead of time. I was like, well, I want to know that they're in there right now. So I just went through Snapchat, and it's worked pretty well so far.
Social media devices just are crazy for the different applications you actually use them for. So that's awesome. So give me an idea here. Now, I know a lot of kids that are looking to wrestle in college really don't have an idea, or are completely going into something that they've never experienced before, maybe coming out of a less competitive high school, or a high school that maybe didn't have as good of structure as far as wrestling goes. What's a day look like for an EMU wrestler?
Right now, basically, how we do the week would go. Well, if you're a freshman, then 3 days. We go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We have freshman drills. And this is, I think, another big part of our philosophy of how we develop kids is, for our freshmen, 3 days a week we do freshman drills, and basically we throw a bunch of technique at them, and then we don't want to make them wrestle a certain way. Obviously, they've been successful with what they've already done, so we want to take at the end of the first semester what we feel worked really good for their style, and then try to develop a game plan for them and get them really good for that, as that game plan, be ready for the next year. And we also do for our other guys, our older guys, we do individual drills with them and another partner, because obviously not every guy wrestles the same. So we like to do our technique kind of in the morning, and then in the afternoon we might do some hard drilling and stuff, but it doesn't get slowed down with technique. We don't want our intensity to fall off, but we can go do a hard practice in the afternoon and kind of take care of business. But yeah, in the morning, whether it's freshman drills or individuals, we have drills, then they have class, and then at like 2 o'clock from about 2 to 4, we have practice, and then some guys will have class after practice. Other guys, if you are under a 3.0 GPA, you have like 4 hours of study table, and that's mandatory. But yeah, so that's pretty much daily. They also have 2 to 3 days a week is lifting, because the drills there'll be like 2 drills a week, upperclassmen, and then there will be like about 3 lifts a week, and then obviously one of those days they have an off day.
So, for you guys at Eastern, what as far as summer goes, what are your expectations for the guys?
Once season is over, nothing becomes mandatory. So it's all kind of on them. If they want to go home, if they're able to, we have like open rooms, and we're in there as a safety exemption. We can't run the practices, but we can be in there when they're working out, just to make sure that nothing happens. But technically, it's NC rule that we can have practices throughout the summer. But most of our guys, because like I said, we find the right type of guys who are really hungry and want to be successful, they are training through June, and then they kind of go home for July and August. But we have quite a few guys that stick around. There's guys who get jobs. The open rooms are in the morning, so that if guys want to get a part-time job, they can still work and make money for the next year too. And then there's also, right now, like this summer, we didn't have any camps, but then, eventually we want to start doing camps, and then, have them work the camps to come some incentive to, I think I learned my technique got a lot better once I started teaching others the technique. It kind of makes you break down the technique. So I think doing camps and stuff are very beneficial too.
Awesome. Well, just want to jump into a few recruiting things here. You kind of already touched on a handful of things on this first one, but what do you really look for in a recruit when you guys are going through the process, or someone that you are going to end up targeting as someone that you want to be part of the EMU program, athletically and academically and socially, for that matter?
Well, what we do is Coach Boyer goes and sits down, and he goes through all these different rankings, and he tries to look up every single kid. Some rankings have like 30 kids per weight, and then like all these special mention kids, and he'll look through everyone and watch hours and hours of wrestling. And then he'll make a list of the guys that he liked, call like had potential, and then we go through and we contact all the high schools, try to get their grades and their transcripts, and then see who's the right fit academically. And then we kind of do our homework too, because we've been around a while, where we know people from different areas and what they've heard on the kid, and I'll check out their Twitter and Facebook profiles, and I'll look at the interviews they've done to see if I feel like they're the right type of kids. So we definitely do our homework, and I think it's paid off. So we have a great group of guys on our team right now. They're good people. They do the right thing socially, willing to make the sacrifices socially that maybe kids at other schools aren't willing to make. Not saying they don't make mistakes. That's a part of life. Everyone makes mistakes, but they learn when they do. They hold them responsible, and that they learn from those mistakes. And then that they're doing well academically. As you saw, we had the top GPA in the country. And now that the level of wrestling is just continuing to get better every year. And that's what we kind of do, this breakdown, and we go to some tournaments and do some recruiting to watch guys. And it's been a process, but I think every year we're getting in better kids, and we're continuing to get in good students. The guys on the team, they have a great relationship where they're kind of pushing each other. A lot of times we don't even have to do very much discipline, because if someone's not doing something, not going to class, like they'll get on each other. But now it's become it's a great atmosphere where these guys, it's become a competition with them for who's going to get better grades. that's something that I haven't seen before. So that's awesome.
Yeah, no, having that type of culture within the team, I mean, just helps set them up for success, on and off the mat. So that's got to be a great thing to be around. But now give me something else here as far as, I know there are a lot of things that families and kids don't understand about with the recruiting process. So what are one or two things that are real big turnoffs for you guys when you are recruiting a kid that may turn you away from them or possibly take them off your list?
I think that the two biggest things that for us take kids off our list are, one, if they're a bad student, they have to meet certain standards by the NCAA for them to even have a chance, to us at any Division I school.
Yep.
So I didn't realize this until probably about my junior year. Like one of my older brothers started talking to me, like kind of gave me a little kick in the butt, saying, "Luke, you really need to, start picking it up if you want to have more Division I options." So I kind of got a slow start and finished off my last 2 years strong. But I think a lot of guys are so kind of tunnel vision on the wrestling, they just put enough focus on the academics. But that's a huge part of it. And then the other thing, like I said, is the social media. There's some, you post pictures and you post, the tweets and things like that. There's kids probably not even realizing that the things they put could be huge turnoffs to coaches when we're trying to see what kind of character you have.
Yeah, the social media footprint that is left these days, especially with all the different outlets, is something that a lot of kids that are looking to compete at the next level have to strongly take into consideration. It can be a great tool, but it could also be a big downfall. So I completely understand that. One last thing, what would be a couple, one or two pieces of advice that you would give to a recruit that's, possibly looking, maybe not just at Eastern Michigan, but just going through the process in general?
I think the biggest piece of information that I give, because I think a lot of kids are worried coming out of high school just about the perception. And the perception, I feel like, is you have to go to a big school to succeed. We've been recruiting guys who they'll go to a bigger name school because they think that there's a better perception of them if they go there, even though that might not be the best fit for them. They might already have a lot of good guys, other guys recruited at their way. Might not be as good of a financial situation. It might not be as good of a social situation, but they want that perception of that they went to this big name school. When the reality is that it might not be the biggest name school, but it could be the best situation financially if they have the best offer. It could be a great situation academically if they have a good academic system and that they're going to help you get your degree and make sure that you're going to your class and do the right things. And it might be the best place for you socially, if they have the right type of kid. A lot of times we talk to kids and we feel like it could be a good fit, but the biggest thing, like the final interview is, because they're not going to be around us all the time. We're only around them a few hours a day. They're going to be with the rest of the team. So we want them to see if it's a fit with the rest of the team. At the same time, we want feedback from our guys letting us know. There's some guys who we thought were good kids, and then we get feedback from our guys that they're not the right type of kid for our program. So just like you're trying to make a decision too, it's the same on our side where, we're making sure that we're still making sure that you're the right type of kid as well.
Mm-hmm.
To go into it with an open mind, you have to look at the big picture and what doesn't just look like it's the best. What you have to really break it down and find the best fit for you.
I couldn't have said better there. I mean, looking at everything is extremely important. One thing I always tell all my kids is, hey, this college decision is going to help shape the next 40 years of your life. So you better make sure that you're taking everything into consideration. Look at everything. Academics should more than likely be the driving force between any decision you make. one example I use is I had a kid that I was working with out of California. He had an option to go to Cal Poly, but also got a great offer from Colorado School of Mines, and he was really looking to go into engineering. And Colorado School of Mines is one of the top engineering programs in the country. So he passed up going to a D1 school to go to a D2 school that had a great engineering program and a good offer. So that's what it's all about, finding a good fit for you in the end of the day. So other than that, that's kind of what I wanted to touch on here with you, Luke. Anything else that you want to go over, or any last words here to get out to these recruits that are looking to go through this process?
In wrestling, I think it really helps you, the sport of wrestling really helps you grow as a person and teaches you a lot of life lessons that, once you're done with wrestling, you're ready. There was an article I was just reading that came out a few years ago was in Forbes magazine that was about that wrestlers were the best athletes to hire for jobs because their work ethic, and they did all this research. It really said a lot of great things about the things that you learn through wrestling and how that prepares you for later on in life. So in college, it takes even more discipline and more time management, and you really have to be willing to make that sacrifice and really want to be successful, or else if you're not willing to put in the time and that hard work, then it's too much. It's too tough for you to not go in it if your heart's not in it. So you got to really embrace that grind and be willing to put in a lot of time and a lot of effort to be successful.